A North Dakota residential purchase agreement is an important document that helps guide the purchase or sale of a home. It sets in writing the agreed upon terms and conditions between the buyer and the seller, such as the purchase price, the down payment, and closing date. It becomes legally binding once signed by both parties. In this video, we'll cover how a residential purchase agreement works, the legal requirements in North Dakota, and what you need to create one. eForms, the biggest online database for legal documents. Stick around and we'll tell you where you can find an official residential purchase agreement specific to North Dakota. First, let's review. How does a residential purchase agreement exactly work? At first, a residential purchase agreement acts as an offer letter from a prospective buyer to the seller of a home. It states how much the buyer is willing to pay for it, how it will be financed, what contingencies must be met before the deal is closed, and more. It typically takes some negotiation between the buyer and the seller to agree on all parts of the contract. Once an agreement is met, both parties sign the document, making it legally bound. This means that the agreement can only be terminated if both parties agree to it or if a contractual contingency or legal requirement is not met. So, what are the legal requirements in North Dakota? The seller must provide a property disclosure statement that details any material defects on the property. This must be provided to a prospective buyer prior to signing the agreement. Lastly, under federal law, the seller must provide a disclosure about lead-based paint exposure if the residence was built before 1978. Now that we know more about how a residential purchase agreement works and what is legally required, here are some things that you should do to make sure the process goes soundly. Include a mortgage pre-approval letter. A mortgage pre-approval letter is a document from the bank estimating how much it is willing to lend to the buyer based on their credit history, income, debts, and assets. This helps the seller determine whether the buyer is financially credible. Offer an earnest money deposit. An earnest money deposit is a percentage of the offer and provided to the seller as a show of good faith. It is written into the residential purchase agreement and typically delivered when the agreement is signed. Use an addendum to modify or add to the agreement. An addendum is often included with a residential purchase agreement to add to or amend any terms and conditions. It can also detail a contingency which allows either party to opt out of the contract if certain terms are not met. If you are in need of a North Dakota residential purchase agreement, you can get started by clicking the link right here. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos that help simplify the legal process for everything ranging from buying or selling a house to making a will.